Welcome back to Civil Conclave YouTube channel. This is Srinivasan, who is having more than 30 years experience in the construction industry, trying to present you a small presentation on the interview question faced by the fresh civil engineers and the junior engineers. Kindly understand the question and answer, which might helpful to you in attending the interviews with a lot of confidences. This is my third part of the program regarding the interview sessions. I'll be continuing the same as and when I collected the question and answer. What do you understand by M25 concreting? The answer should be, as per IS 456, M refers mix and 25 refers the characteristic compressive strength of the concrete cubes of 150 by 150 by 150 mm tested at the end of 28 days should be minimum 25 Newton per square millimeter. What is the maximum allowable fresh concrete temperature until used as per ASTM? The answer should be 32 degrees centigrade. What is gunite? It is a process in which cement and sand mixed in a 1:3 ratio shooted to a concreting surface with a high pressure pump or a cement gun under a pressure of 2 to 3 kg per centimeter square. It is a highly effective process for repairing concrete walls and damaged surfaces. This image will show you how the gunneting process are carried out in a. What is the process of covering of concrete placed on the top of the exposed external walls? The answer should be a coping. This is the image of a coping. A wall is constructed to resist the pressure of an earth filling is known as. The answer should be the retaining wall. The image of the retaining wall has been shown here. What is the minimum curing period? 456/2000 recommends that the curing duration should be a minimum of 7 days in case of OPC. At least 10 days for the concreting with the mineral admixtures. It also recommends the curing duration should be minimum 10 days for the concrete which has been exposed to a dry and hot weather condition, and 14 days for a mineral admixture used concreting which is exposed to hot sun and weather. What is the bearing capacity of the soil? Bearing capacity of the soil to support the loads which is applied to the ground by foundation of the structure. What do you mean by honeycomb in the concreting? Honeycomb is nothing else as an air packet. It's known as air voids in concreting. It is usually formed while the time of concreting due to segregations, improper covering and improper compactions. What field tests are required to check the cement? The cement field tests are as follows. The color of the cement should be grey or light greenish shade. It should feel smooth when rubbed between the fingers. If hand is inserted in a heap of a cement, your hand should feel cool. When a pinch of a cement is thrown on a water, it should be float. It should not sink immediately, and it also consists of lump free. What are the types of the cement? There are various types of cement which is known as ordinary Portland cement, furnace slag cement, white Portland cement, Portland pozzolana cement, low heat Portland cement, colored Portland cement, hydrophobic cement, rapid hardening cement, Portland slag cement, sulfate resisting Portland cement, etc. What is the difference between built up area and a super built up area? Built up area, it includes the carpet area along with the columns, walls, etc. It is usually 10% higher than the carpet area. Super built up area, it includes the built up area plus that area used for the amenities like passage to the lift, stairs, gym, club, etc. What is the water cement ratio? How it is related to the strength of the concrete? The water cement ratio is the weight of the water to the weight of the cement used in a concreting cement. A slower water cement ratio increases the strength and durability but may reduce the workability. To adjust this, you can add an admixture for the concrete. What is meant by hybrid foundation? Hybrid foundation usually used for high-rise buildings. It contains both mat and piles supported foundation. This type of foundation is helpful in reducing the amount of the settlement. What is flashing? Flashing is an extended construction that is done to seal the project's joints in a building from a water penetration. This is the image which explains how the flashings has been done in the building. What is the busting of reinforcement? Tensile stresses are induced during pre-stressing operation and the maximum busting stress occurs where the stress trajectories are concave towards the line of the action of the load. This is the image which is explaining how the busting reinforcement has been provided. What are the major problems in pumping the concreting? In pumping operation, the force extended by pumps must overcome the friction between the concreting and the pumping pipes. The weight of the concreting and the pressure head when placing concreting above the pumps. In fact, only the water is pumpable. It is the water in the concreting transfer the pressure. The main problem associated with the pumping is the effect of segregation and bleeding. To rectify these adverse effects, the proportion of the cement is increased to enhance the cohesion in order to reduce segregation and bleeding. On the other hand, a proper selection of the graded aggregates will help you and reduce the lateral force. What is meant by shear slump? Shear slump applies to the concreting mix is different in cohesion. Consequently, it may undergo segregation and bleeding and thus is undesirable for durability of the concreting. Here I show the three images for a true slump and a shear slump and a collapse slump, which will explain you how the shear slump has been worked out. Why concreting is weak in tension? Concreting is made of collection of materials such as aggregates, cements, water, etc., which stick together form a concreting paste. The interface zone is the weakest link in the structure. When compressing, the interface only serves to transfer compressive stresses from aggregate to the next. That does not require any exceptional strength. Under tension, the aggregates are trying to pull away from each other and the glue what holds the whole system together, since it is significantly weaker than the aggregates. It is where the failure starts as much as lower stress. What are the steps involved in concreting process? Batching. A batching, which is known as a mixing of concreting by adding cement, aggregates, sand, aggregates, water, etc. This is known as a mixing and which is known as a batching also. Apart from this, We required a transportation, compaction, and curing. What is meant by grouting? Grouting is a fluid form of concreting which used to fill the voids like a foundation boards, etc. Here you can see the images of the grouting. What is the recommended slump for a concrete column? 75 to 125 millimeter. The bearing capacity of the granite is generally, the answer is 30 to 35 kgs per centimeter square. What are the specifications of the tamping rod used in Q filling? According to code 2386, a 16 mm steel rod with a rounded edge. What are the functions of the columns in the building? Columns is a vertical member in a building whose primary function is to support the structural load and transfer through the beams. Upper columns transfer the load to the lower columns and finally to the ground through footings. What is the initial and final setting time of an ideal cement mix? Initial setting for an ideal cement mix should be 30 minutes. For masonry cement, it should be 90 minutes. Final setting time for ideal cement should be 10 hours at maximum. For masonry cement, it should not exceed 24 hours. The portion of the brick cut across, which is called as known as bat. Explain quality assurance and quality control. Quality assurance. Quality assurance is a set of activities for ensuring quality in the process by which the works has to be carried out. Quality assurance is the process of managing the quality. Quality control. Quality control is a set of activities for ensuring activity in quality works. These activities focus on identifying defects in the actual products produced. Quality control used to verify the quality of the materials. How would you describe soundness of the cement? Soundness can be described as a property which ensures that cement does not go through any appreciable expansion, experience any change its volume once it has been set. The process helps to get rid of the possibilities of the mortar or concreting from getting disturbed. What made you to decide to become a civil engineer? This is a quite interesting question. And how many of us know what answer to be given? This is the answer I given when I attend the interview. I decided to become a civil engineer because of my father as a math teacher. As a child, he shared his great love for solving mathematical equation and other type of puzzles to me. He always asking me to look outside the box to solve each dilemma. He encouraged me to have a quizzical mind and to always explore not only how something was built but also how it was worked. He inspired me to figure out the design could be improved upon by utilizing a different methodology. That's where I become a civil engineer. What are moment of inertia and its importance? The moment of inertia measures the opposition any kind of body will have against certain momentum along with the same axis. Trying to relate the body means. Explains the critical path method. Critical path method is a strategy and method representing the respective tasks and activities involved in the construction through a symbolic diagram. What are the various tests for checking the bricks quality? It is water absorption test, hardness test, shapes and size, crushing test, soundness test, etc. to check the brick quality. In water absorption test, We dip the brick for 16 hours in water. If weight of the brick after dipping in water doesn't exceed by 20%, it can be considered as a first class bricks. It below 22.5, it can be considered as a second class bricks. It is below 25, it can be called as a third class brick. In crushing strength, it should be minimum 10 neutron per mm square for first class brick and 7.5 neutron per mm square for second class bricks. In hardness test, we scratch the bricks with the nails. It should be scratch free. In soundness test, we check the metallic sound by sticking two bricks with each other. Why concreting cover is provided for a reinforcement? Concreting cover for reinforcement is required to protect the rebar against corrosion and to provide resistance against the fire. There are different steps involved in a building construction. Like, can you explain it? The answer should be concreting, masonry work, plastering, flooring, formwork, steel cutting and bending. How do you measure the volume of the concreting? The volume is concreting is calculated by the multiplying the length, width and depth. For 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, it should be 1 cubic meter of the volume of the concrete. Which is the equation for use for calculating unit weight of the steel bar? It is d square divided by 162. What is the size of the concreting cube? 150 by 150 mm. What do you do if any concrete cubes failed in 28 days after compressive strength test? As an engineer, if the concrete fails in 28 days cube test, I will go for a core cutting test and report to the authority. What is the density of the steel? 7,850 kg per m cube. In Fe 415 steel grade, what is 415 indicates? It indicates the tensile strength. What is the volume of the 50 kg bag of cement? 0.035 cubic meter. Standard size of the bricks. It is 19 centimeter by 9 centimeter by 9 centimeter. What is the unit weight of the RCC? It is 2500 kg per cubic meter. Explain what are the problems one might face while having a cantilever balcony. Cantilever balconies are usually unsupported and extended to outwards. So the problem with the cantilever balconies are excess deflection or bounce, weakness in the deck section, rotten water absorption due to the interior house, unevenness inside the house. What are the disadvantages of curing by ponding and polythene sheets? The purpose of curing to reduce the rate of heat loss for the freshly faced concreting. Ponding. This method of thermal curing is readily affected by a weather condition, cold wind. Moreover, a large amount of water is used has to be disposed of the construction site after curing. Polythene sheet. This method of curing is based on the principle that there is no flow of air over the concreting surface and thereby no evaporation takes place on the top of the freshly concreting surface by provision of polythene sheet. However, it suffers from the demerit that polythene sheet can easily be blown off on windy condition and the performance of curing could be affected. Moreover, for water loss due to self desiccation, this method replaces these slabs. Thank you for watching this presentation. Kindly subscribe and like and share, which will motivate me for a further good presentation. In case of any queries, do not hesitate to write to me. The response shall be at the earliest. Images courtesy is a Google. Contact me civilconclave@gmail.com or at my Telegram group, Ask Srini Telegram groups. The link is as follows. Kindly subscribe and share with your friend, which will motivate me for a further good presentation. Thank you for watching this presentation.